I'm Henry Golding, and this is Declan Hopkins, and we work on a team together. And we've recently been studying the Refactoring book by Martin Fowler, and Declan put together this awesome kata for us to try out some of the principles. And yeah, I guess I'll turn it over to you, Declan. Do you want to say a bit more about the kata?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I kind of threw together this kata just to exercise some of the learnings in this refactoring book that we've been reading, and it's mostly just a lot of basic refactorings, the first ones that are introduced in the book, and it's just a simple Rust program that kind of generates some numbers and outputs them, and there's like a test suite to go along with it to assist with the refactors, and that's the main gist of it.
Sweet, yeah, and so it's it's a fighting game theme as well, which is kind of fun. I guess I can read the blurb. So I guess hopefully what's happening is that I'm sharing my screen, and I am in VS Code. Declan is in VS Code with me through LiveShare, and so our plan is to basically take a look at this and try and do some refactoring as a pair. So we'll see what happens. So fighting game refactoring kata. This program was designed years ago to help calculate player and NPC power levels for the new hit video game Fighter Dude 2. It's your first day on the job and you're the new maintainer for the tool, but you don't understand how it works. Luckily, the original author at least left a few tests and comments behind. Maybe some refactoring is in order. And then we have a note, it's important that no behavior changes as a result of these refactorings. And then a set of refactorings that we could choose to do. So what do you think, Declan? Where should we start? Should we try and find the tests?
Yeah, let's start by finding the tests and making sure we can run them and everything.
Okay.
And also, by the way, we could do with a zoom level or two in your
Oh, of course, yeah,
editor.
sorry. Let me, oh, actually,
Just
I'm trying to do that. Do you know how to do that in VS Code?
I believe it's Control mouse or Control plus and minus.
Oh,
Yeah,
Control plus and
Control plus
minus.
and minus.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Control
Perfect.
mouse wheel was not doing it for me. Is that good or
Yep,
one
I
down?
think that's
Yeah. Okay, cool.
that's
Let me just collapse this guy a bit because he's. Okay, cool. Also, I guess we didn't mention it's in Rust, a language which
yep.
I do not know, and Declan does. So we have that in our favor as well.
Right.
Um, cool. So we've got
But
this test.
yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
should be able to just run them just by clicking the little run test thing. Super cool thing about Rust and Cargo. There we go. Cool.
Nice. So it
Uh,
looks like they all passed.
yeah. I even see the terminal on my side. That's cool.
Oh, sweet! Through the live share.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
wonder
Yeah,
if it just sends the output or runs it. But anyway, yeah.
yeah. It says
Yep.
you can have a shared terminal, so maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, we're both also live share newbies. We haven't been able to use it in our work life because our projects are a bit larger than it can cope with. But it seems to be working really nicely in this little example. Okay, cool. So we've got some tests. We ran them. Do we have any idea what level of coverage they have?
Definitely low coverage. I mean, as you can see on line 7, this test wasn't even fully written. So,
Oh
like, the
yeah, yeah.
main thing, and that's kind of part of the inspiration or motivation for you to refactor this thing is because
I
it's just so
see. Yeah.
difficult to test. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
we're
the
we're
original
we're we're
author didn't
cursing
try.
the name of this past programmer who we haven't met, uh,
Right.
who did this total cop out. Okay, so one goal we could have is to find out what correct result means, um, and obviously as this is legacy code, then the correct result is whatever it says now, right? Even if it's wrong. So, how do you feel? Do you want to kind of trust the tests that we have? Is there a coverage generating thing for Rust?
There might be something for cargo tests. Nothing I have any experience with though.
Okay.
Don't know about it.
Well, let's not mess around with it right now. But I guess one thing that we could do if we were more familiar with our tools here is actually run the tests with coverage enabled and see what code is actually covered by tests, and then that would give us some more confidence that by changing stuff we wouldn't be breaking anything. But I guess so. We've got this main function. It does some stuff. There's no library or anything, right? It's just all here in this main and other functions in this file.
Yep.
So we've got, let's see, we've got main. Looks like main calls calculation a couple times as its main thing. And
Not a very useful name.
indeed, yeah. If only we could do something about that. We've got get power of sun. Enemies give more XP if the sun is out. More question mark? Question mark? Who knows if they do? I like this. This is actually a very like true to life kind of comment that you would find, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got calculation, which it says calculate your total power level based on your gear score, fighting skill level, happiness, and power of the sun and moon, blah blah blah. So sensing that it does an awful lot, that it is silent about in its name, and then we also have the skill level increase from the XP points, which does some kind of crazy calculation. So, how do you want to approach this, Declan?
Well, I think we might want to start by maybe converting some of our like understandings of the code, if there are any, into the codes. Like some of these comments that are out here, maybe those could lend themselves to like an extract method or something, extract function, because it is the calculation method is the meat of it, and it is quite large.
Yeah. I guess for me, I still feel a bit hung up on the whole I don't know what the tests cover thing. If we could debug this, we could do the sort of cheap coverage technique
We
with
could do
breakpoints.
that, yeah. Yeah, we could try that. I think it
Okay.
should. Your IDE just should support it
Yeah.
if Rust analyzer's there.
Yeah. How about we say like, why don't we pick our target? Should we say is calculation going to be our first target? Do you think?
I think so, because if we check the other two, there's 3 other methods that are all single line
Yeah. True. Well,
tentative
I guess
functions.
they're just easy enough to check, right? So here we go. So this is how you do coverage if you can't be bothered to find out what the proper coverage tool is, or if you have a situation where it's hard to set one up, which is legit. Like a lot of games are pretty hard to build, and can be tricky to just be like add this new step into the build pipeline. Okay, so I'm guessing our tests aren't going to cover anything in main, so I'm going to kind of ignore that. Well, that does give me like a separate concern of like, what is main doing and how do we know that it's doing stuff? But for these things,
Yeah.
it looks like we've got breakpoints in all of them. So hopefully, if I debug the tests,
Oh, look at that. Cool.
oh, okay. So we know that it hits here. So basically, when we hit a line, I'm going to remove the breakpoint, and then I'm just going to resume. This one, I guess, obviously, it's not going to tell us if like both of these conditions are hit, but we know that we at least evaluated this. We did hit this. We did hit this. And this.
Looks like that's it.
Okay. So this is interesting already, right? Actually, I had forgotten about that little way of doing a coverage trick, but especially for such a small thing, this is kind of useful. So we know actually that the tests don't cover any of this code, or
Yeah.
this function, or this function. So probably we should fix that, right?
Yeah, now we can actually go ahead and write tests for these now.
Cool. So shall we change drivers, or shall I start out driving? And I guess we can kind of go into like a strong style pairing right now, and I'll drive, and you tell me what to do, and then we'll switch.
Yeah, yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Let me just. I don't know if we'll like follow this timer exactly, but let me at least just set one so we know how long we've been going. Cool.
Yeah, we could start with the easiest possible test, which is this method get power of sun, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe we want to get rid of that, but for now we want to have another test. So let's
All right.
switch over to a test file
Yeah.
and add a new test by however you want, maybe copy and paste.
Okay.
And we're just going to name it like power of sun correct, or whatever that method was called. Get power of sun correct. Yep.
Okay.
And let's call it And we won't touch the 515 for now.
Does it take a parameter?
No.
Okay, so I'll just pass it nothing.
Yeah, and we could leave it at 515 so we could see it
Oh, I made it angry.
fail.
Cannot
Oh yeah, so
find
we
it.
have to actually import it.
Okay.
So let's go to the top of the file and throw that in the line 3.
Line 3, okay. And how do I do that?
Inside the
Oh, okay.
braces on line 3, yeah, we want to just import get power of sun.
Okay, cool. So this is saying like
Yeah.
and crate is that's saying like in the crate that we're in.
Yeah, so the crate is kind of like the root of this workspace in this case. In a multi-crate project or multiple library project, that would mean it would just be local to your one module, which in this case is just the main module.
Cool. And so basically we're saying here like if I want to call any of these functions that are defined in this main.rs crate, then I need to write out their names here, basically.
Yep.
Cool.
And you can't just use an asterisk, but anyway.
All right.
Let's see if this works now. So we run the test. We expect to see it fail. There it is.
Yeah.
And I should have failed with. Let's make sure it was a correct failure. We scroll
it's
up.
kind of verbose, so here we go.
So it
equals right. Left was 515, right was 5.
Right. And I think we actually want 5, so now we can change our 515 into 5. And run the test one more time.
And just real quick, Declan, this exclamation mark after assert or is that just like part of the name of the assert?
It's part of the macro syntax.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So anything with an exclamation mark is a macro.
A magical Rust macro. Jolly good. Cool. I don't need a semicolon here.
Nope.
All right. It passes.
All right. Cool. So now we can go back to our main, and we know that we have coverage over that now. So I mean, or do we leave it and maybe we'll test it later?
Maybe I can just debug this test and just check that it hits it.
There we go.
I guess it hit.
Looks like it went to the next line, but
yeah, looks like that's where it's going to let us breakpoint. But cool.
All right, so we know that's covered.
Yeah. Should we switch?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's commit and switch. Or how do we want to? Do we even? I guess we don't have to commit if we are just doing a live.
Yeah, it's a good question. And when you say commit, you're talking about a git commit, right? So normally when we were doing this kind of thing, we would actually make a git commit after each refactoring. Maybe for the sake of this video, we won't, because we're already recording it, so it would just be noise. Oh, it says Declan Hopkins focused your attention. That's very powerful command of you, Declan.
I'm trying to get it so that you could like follow my cursor from your screen.
Oh, I see. It looks like it's working.
Cool. Do you see me switching files as well?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, I guess that makes me the code driver or typer.
All right, and I'm talking. Okay, so and just for our reference, that was a 4-minute stretch. Okay, so I guess then we want to cover our next one. Was there a small function down at the bottom of this file that we could just take care of? The skill increase from the XP points. Yeah, let's copy that on the clipboard, go to the test file, and add a test for that in the same way that we just did for the power of the sun.
Okay.
And that hash test, is that an attribute that kind of tells Rust, hey, this is a test?
Yeah, it's a attribute, just like C# or whatnot.
Sure. Cool. And it looked like it did take a parameter. Can we switch back to the main.rs and just see what it did? So it takes a thing, an I32. So I guess give it 500 and see what happens.
Okay. 500. Oh, and we have to import it again. Import this new one.
Sweet.
And not that. Cool.
Okay.
And it seems to be. Oh, it's because.
Oh, you've got correct on line 38 at the end. I think you just need to remove correct.
There we go. Typo.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which makes me think we did actually miss. I guess we're not doing red green refactor right now, but we have missed a refactoring step for the test, but we can come back to that. Cool. So can we give it a run?
I think you have to run it. It
Oh, do
says I
I?
need to ask you to enable it, but I don't know how
Oh,
you would.
okay. Well, I will just give it a click then.
Cool.
Would love to enable it, but I don't know how. Are you able to use the terminal still?
Yeah, I see it. So we've got. It looks like it failed. It's seeing the expected 5, and it got 25,500.
Okay. So let's say 25500 is the new value that we're expecting,
Right.
because it's legacy code. So whatever it says right now, that is what it needs to keep returning. Whether or not we don't need to understand what it is or why it is or if it's right or wrong. It is inherently right because that's what it returned. Okay, I'll give it another run. It looks like it passed. And I
All
guess
right.
I'll also hit debug. Check that it hits our breakpoint, and it did. I'll remove the breakpoint, hit continue. So obviously
All
that's
right.
kind of a complicated thing that's going on there. So this style of like coverage through breakpoints is obviously not very nuanced. It's certainly not necessarily going to tell us that. Well, I guess there isn't really any branching in there, but there definitely was in the other one. Cool.
Yeah.
So shall we switch back?
Let's do it.
Cool.
Sure.
All right.
How do we do that? I guess we don't have to. Yeah, I guess we don't have
I
to
guess
change
I just
anything
start
now.
typing. Yeah, we just carry on. It's actually quite a nice pairing flow.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm typing, and you're
All right,
talking.
and I'm talking. Let's see. So we have a couple more of these breakpoints, and they're not getting hit by any current test. So I guess now what we want is to actually add another test for calculation that gets past this happiness less than 0 branch. And it looks like we have this fighting power thing, like calculation, and then we do some happiness stuff. So let's just first. I imagine I think we can get here by just making something with happiness and everything else greater than 0. So let's go over to tests.rs and let's add a new test. Probably up at the top near this. Yeah, we could just repurpose this one. Yeah. There we go. And I guess it'll just be, yeah, just put something random in the name.
Okay.
And we want to, what is calculation return? Let's go back and check that. I think it returns an optional value. Yeah,
Option I32.
right. Okay, so and let's. Oh, actually, yeah. So all right, let's go back to the test then, and let's keep our assert eq here. Change the first thing to a none. That's fine for now, and then we want to call calculation here instead of that. Yeah. And let's do a gear score of 1 and a fighting skill level of 1 and a happiness of 1.
Oh, okay, hold on. It looks like if I do tab, I can go through the auto thing. So sorry, it was 1. Oh no, tab is not working for me either. Oh well.
Oh,
Okay,
just
so
1. Yeah.
1 for all of them.
Yeah. And then let's run this and see what our coverage goes to here.
Oh, I didn't make it a test. Oops. Well, it looks like it passed, but no additional coverage was created.
No additional coverage.
Oh, wait, I am wrong. I hit debug, but I didn't see any error in the terminal. When I hit run, I do see an error. So it looks like it was
That's
expecting
sum
none, but it
18.
found a sum 18.
So so I guess it did make it through the method then. Otherwise it would
Yeah.
have given us like none or I32 megs. Let's go.
We could step through it if you want.
Yeah, let's try to step through it now in the debugger.
Okay, cool. Let me stick a breakpoint at the beginning just for it to get it to stop, and I will hit debug. Okay, so is it following along on your screen with this or as well?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we've got if gear score blah, we get past that if happiness is less than 0, which it shouldn't be. It's 1 currently. Okay. Oh, maybe it hadn't compiled or something. Maybe I wasn't allowed to hit debug right then, because it does look like it is now into this. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, well I'll just continue with our proceeding then. So I'll remove the breakpoint here, continue here, continue here, continue, and we still get to here, continue. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't continue it hard enough. Okay. And then moon power we do hit, 76 we hit, and 78 we hit. Sweet. Okay, and that was just one that I put in there to stop it. Okay, so we actually do have full coverage now.
Cool. Yeah, I guess we do.
As far as we can tell, given that
Yes.
we're not able to necessarily tell these. Well, I guess they do the same thing anyway. Yeah, I feel pretty confident. I feel more confident now than I did originally.
Yeah, we're actually making sure that it gets through the method this time. So I think we can actually just delete the first test that we have that is a total no op.
Okay.
And then change the name of result 2 to just, result. And then we want to add a sum. We expect 18 now in an optional, so sum 18
Right.
on line 7. Because we know that to be our pinning whatever value.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Trusting the
And so if we
code.
run all these, if we run all these now, we should be all good, be all
Yep.
green.
Looks like they're all green. Cool. Well, that's awesome. So now we feel confident, at least, that before we start refactoring it, that we at least have tests that execute all of the functions, at least, if not main itself.
Right. I guess now
we,
we're ready to start refactoring. Yeah, and
yeah.
let's switch.
Okay, cool. Super easy to switch from through this live share. We're just like,
Yeah.
now we've switched. It's great. Okay, so let's take a look at the tests, because I guess the correct result is fine right now. So we don't actually know what the correct result would be, so we have no basis on which to name the tests better right now. So probably it makes sense not to get into renaming them at this point. Okay, so let's go back to main.rs. And let's see. And maybe we can work together on figuring out like what's the most egregious thing that pops out at us. Or I guess we could approach it as like we're kind of we want to understand this, right? We had a goal, didn't we? Our goal was to find out what it does by writing a test. So I guess we could try and figure out what the calculation method does.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Or maybe there we noticed something to break apart or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see.
We actually have a hint of what it does here that we read earlier.
Yeah, calculate your total power level based on your gear score, find a skill level that happens the power of the sun and the moon, which is an awful lot of things. And we also, I think we are calculating the moon power here. So I guess we could try and move it more towards, what would that be? Replace hard-coded thing with query if we on line 75, if we were to.
That would not be a bad, excuse me, that wouldn't be a bad refactoring, I don't think. Because we already kind of do that for get power of sun.
Fair enough. I guess another way to approach it, we could look at those specific refactorings that were listed at the top, and see.
Yeah,
So I guess
these are the
this is
ones that are hidden in here.
yeah, this is our menu that you had intended us to get exercise with from this kata.
Right.
So slide statement, which is moving lines around. Start function, inline function. Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, I guess the thing to do is just do something. We can always undo it if we don't like it and the test fail or we don't think it's good. So why don't we do what we were saying? We'll do extract function on that line 75.
All right. I don't have any automated factor, I don't think, but copy this where we're gonna go. Okay, so we're just kind of shifted that into a function, and I'm just gonna call that instead. Done.
All right.
Do we want to run the tests?
Yes, we absolutely do. I guess that falls on me. Let's let's do that.
Yeah.
They are green.
Cool.
Cool. And we could swap as well.
Yeah, sure. We can
Alrighty.
swap for the next
And
one. Let's
we're
do
on
it.
about a 3-minute rotation right now.
Okay,
Cool.
so
I'm typing.
first thing, let's go on the top and just put an X next to that one that we just did. I guess extract function, or
Mhm.
I think it'd actually be replace temp with query.
Well, interesting. Did we actually do that?
Well, I would consider that to be
we,
a temporary. Oh, actually, no. I
because I
guess we
think,
did, because
yeah, I
we'll have
think
a
because
temporary variable.
right, we call the function, but we assign it to a temporary still.
Yeah. So
Um,
it was an extract then.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we can mark that just for completion's sake. Cool. We did that. Okay.
Try function. Yeah.
Now let's keep looking here. Just looking out for other things that look bad to me. Is maybe this, what is this fighting power thing on line 71 to 74? It has a temporary variable. We're just kind of going through in some calculation.
Yeah. It looks like it's got kind of like, here's a couple of early outs, basically. And then this is the actual calculate fighting power.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could, I mean, maybe, would it make sense to inline these, do you think? Moon power and sun power?
We could inline them. The problem is sun power also has this happiness dependency. But
Indeed.
it is addition though, so maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we just throw it all together. I say, yeah, let's inline them then. Get rid of these temporary variables. It'll make it easier to see this whole.
So I'll get rid of this line, and that was moon power. So get power of moon. So I think it's just as readable now as it was before. And then this one, I think this is actually a good one to take on because it says sun power is get power of sun plus happiness. So it's like it feels like it's doing some additional calculation that really should happen in get power of sun, right?
So you're thinking to move the happiness addition into get power of sun.
Yeah, either that or there's like an additional concept which is like power of sun modified by happiness, but which we
No,
don't reflect well in this named variable.
I do like that. I mean, yeah, because this is saying that the sun power is this. It's not just the power of the sun. So do we want to take in a happiness parameter to get power
Seems
of sun?
reasonable. Yeah.
All right.
And
Let's
that's
add that.
a change function declaration, right?
Yes.
Do you want to do the mechanics from the book? I think it might be a bit overkill for this.
I don't have them on me, so I don't have the blueprint on me, so I don't know if we can. But I think it also would be overkill.
Yeah.
Because there's no actual like parameters already. There's nothing, so we really don't have to do much here.
Yeah.
But
it was also kind of hard with. Yeah, I agree, and I think it's kind of hard with the book being JavaScript based because some of those mechanics seem a little. I don't know if it's accurate to say, but it seemed like they were maybe a bit more relevant for JavaScript.
No,
Obviously,
I agree.
It's easy to extrapolate, obviously, but
yeah.
Cool. Okay. So
yeah,
tell me
we're
what
gonna
to do.
add. Let's go to the declaration of get power of sun.
Get power of sun. Oh, I'm trying to change file. I'm already in the file. Okay, get power of sun.
And let's add a parameter to it, an I32 for happiness. Yeah.
So that's happiness colon. Oh, it was prompting me. I32. Okay.
And we're just gonna add that to 5. I don't know why the power of the sun is 5 plus happiness, but it just is in this.
Yep. Well, this is the lesson of legacy code, right? Like we don't need to know.
Right.
I think we could really wrap ourselves in a pickle, trying to find out why would it be that the power of sun is this, but ultimately it doesn't matter if for the purpose of restructuring. And once we're done refactoring, then it might become obvious. Then again, it might not.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to the call site of get power sun, the one spot or a couple spots that we use it. I guess we also touch it in the tests.
And we're leaning on the compiler now, so it's telling us.
Yeah. So let's just shift over happiness over into the parameter there as an argument. Okay, and then let's. Oh, it might be cheat. It's going to be cheating to inline that. So let's keep going. Go to tests.
Run the tests. I'm glad you said that because they failed. It looks like
they failed to compile.
Like they failed to compile. There we go.
Yeah, we still have to add that new parameter there.
Yeah,
but
that's from this test, right? Get power of sun.
Yeah. So in this case,
yeah,
it would be like 0, but I think we actually want to test that. So let's put like 3.
Well, it actually occurs to me there was this comment here. It's important that no behavior changes as a result of these refactorings. So it leads us with an interesting question here, right? Because do we consider this function to be part of the public interface of like it is right now, right? But I feel like conceptually it probably isn't.
Is it? Oh, it actually is. Yeah. Maybe that was I think conceptually it isn't. I think maybe we can cheat and say that it isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good point for sure. Like since this is public, changing that, I guess that is more of than a refactor.
Yeah. It's interesting in the context of like coupling the tests to the structure of the code, right? Because while we get the additional benefit of being able to test the get power of sun function independently, by writing those tests for it, we also couple our test to its signature. And so now we have to change this test. But having said that, it's only changing one test, and we did just change the behavior of that thing. So I think it makes sense to fix it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the book that's what all these crazy mechanics are for, to make this as non-breaking as possible. But yeah, I guess let's give it an argument of 3.
Okay, so we'll pass in 3.
And we'll run the test. We know that it's going to give us 8, but we want to make sure.
So it looks like not. File. So it looks like we have another one, line 37 in main.
We missed one.
Writing skill level. Interesting. Oh, that is so interesting. Okay, so there looks like we can't do this then without breaking it.
Yeah, we've broken it. It is part of the public API.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we learned back out.
Now we learned that. We didn't know that before. Okay.
Okay, so maybe that's insight that on line 74, that's actually just a poorly named variable, and that's not the power of the sun. It's just the power of the sun plus happiness.
Yeah. So I mean, we could just inline the whole thing rather than trying to move happiness.
I think we're gonna inline the whole thing.
Actually, inline variable would have been the simple thing to do, and it turns out the correct one.
Well, yeah, it's part of the learning.
Yeah,
running into the wrong ones and.
Cool. But at least we're a bit clearer now, right? Like we've eliminated a concept that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we swap?
Sure.
That was an 8-minute cycle. I know we weren't strictly in our roles. Cool. I guess I'll just run the tests just to make sure we're in a good. All right. Actually, I didn't revert this change. Make sure we're in a green state before we hand over. Okay. Cool. All right. So you're typing.
All right. What are we doing?
Great question. Okay, so so we're getting a bit more clarity now on what calculation does. We know that like ultimately it ends up being the fighting power plus the power of the moon plus the power of the sun plus happiness, which does actually accord with the comment on line 59. The only thing it's not mentioned is based on your gear score. So let's see. We have this happiness, which is happiness plus fighting power divided by 3. I love the comments on this. True happiness actually comes from your fighting power. I love that there's like this internal logic to the weird code.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I don't know. I feel like there's all this kind of line 65 to 68. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. If happiness is less than 0, then return int32 max. We could extract function on that.
On line 65 to 68.
Yeah. Yeah, because it doesn't. I guess it takes. So we could extract it to a function that takes happiness as its argument and returns whether we are, max powerful, whatever.
So returns whether we are max. Okay, so
Oh, I see. Yeah.
yeah, because it is an early out, so it's a little strange.
Well, maybe an easy thing to do would be let's first maybe take that sum i32 max and let's introduce variable.
Okay.
And give it, so we can just give it a name.
What are we gonna? We want to introduce a local.
Yeah. And let's call it applesauce because I don't know what it does right now. My brain is. Okay. So we now know that if our happiness is less than 0, then being unhappy makes us evil and the most powerful of all. So this is the I don't even know what the name for it. Total power level. So this is the power level that you get, the highest power level. So I guess we could just call it max power level.
Yeah. Max power level.
Yeah. How do you feel about the comment? Do you think we still need it?
I would say not. We do have a test.
Well, yeah. Well, we encoded our understanding about the most powerful of all, but not that being unhappy makes you evil.
Well, the makes you evil part could be construed as flavoring. So who knows if it needs to stay? But
yeah, but on line 65 we basically do test it, right? Like we could say if you are evil, or if,
yeah, we could have that could be the helper. We could have a
yeah. So how about
help
we
method.
extract method then on happiness less than 0?
Okay. And that returns bool, and it just returns if happiness is less than 0.
Okay, so let's call that. Okay, and let's run the tests just as a sanity check.
Yeah.
Okay, they're green.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see, what should we call it? Well, what it does is if your happiness is less than 0, so what would a true name be? Negative happiness? As negative happiness?
Yeah. Great. Is happiness negative?
Oh, go with that.
Okay.
Right, let me run the test real quick. All good. Now, is that enough for now? Should we move on to something else? I think we've captured what the comment says, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the evilness, we don't have the concept of evil captured accurately, but we do say that if your happiness is negative, then it should be max power level.
Yeah.
It seems reasonable. We haven't come across a use case of this concept of evil anywhere else, so I suggest we ditch it until we need it.
Yep.
Cool.
It's gone.
Alrighty. Let me just run the test at sanity check, and we're good. Cool. Shall we switch?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm typing. You're talking.
Yeah. So really quick, how do we feel about line 70 being a local? We could extract, we could further move this into a constant. So let's do
Yeah.
that. Let's
Sure. Talk me through it.
yeah, let's go, I guess just copy the value of it. So sum I32 max. Yeah. And we're gonna go to the top of the file. And yeah, right under the mod, so line 23.5. I think it's const, and then is all caps max underscore power level. Colon, yeah, or I think it actually, yeah, we might have to be explicit with the type. So yeah, colon option.
Oh, oopsie. Option.
For an I32, yeah.
2. All right.
Then put a semicolon. All right, and then we can use that instead of temporary.
Okay.
And then let's run the tests.
It'll pass.
Cool. Let's move on to another refactoring then.
Cool. Do you want me to cross off
Do we want to look? Yeah.
Which ones have we done?
Cross.
We definitely did inline variable.
Yes, we did that. I think we did change function declaration in some form.
Yeah.
Oh no, we didn't. We decided not to.
Oh right.
Didn't
We rewrote it, didn't we? Yeah. We did introduce variable.
Yeah. I would say we wrote a test for calculation, but not. I don't want to know. I don't know if it's good, but it's a test that
The test that provides coverage
checks everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't really tell us much about like what it does and why. So I wouldn't call it necessarily good right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's go. Let's keep looking. Let's scroll down here. We have these things, and we could.
Calculation is already looking shorter, isn't it? It's a shorter function than it used to be.
Yeah, I think that the big block, or the last, block would be line 76 to 79, or just 82. Like 82 could be its own function, because it's what this is it's getting like the true happiness.
Yeah. So should we just do that quick rename?
Yeah.
True happiness.
Yeah. So we're gonna let true happiness.
There we go.
Is happiness plus fighting power. And
yeah, that's consistent with the other thing, right? Where it was like named the same, but it was actually a separate concept.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So all right, let's get rid of the comment then on line 81. I would say that it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yep, we should, even though it was funny, which is an interesting point, right? Because the fact that it was a funny comment and I kind of liked it made me want to keep it, but I don't think that's really the right thing to do. So it's kind of an interesting example of like fighting our biases.
Yeah, I would rather come across a funny comment at the top of a file than like interwoven in this.
Yeah.
In my
It's like we came here to understand what's happening, not to have fun.
Yeah. So then how do we feel about just leaving line 81 on its own then? Do we want to leave that as a variable, extract it?
I mean, right now it gives us this additional thing, this concept of true happiness that we don't otherwise have. We could extract method on it.
Yeah, I was thinking just like a get true happiness from fighting power.
Yeah, so walk me through it.
All right, so let's copy this. what you have until the end of the line. Yep. And go to 63.5. And this will just be a new FN for get true happiness from fighting power.
All right.
And this is going to take.
Sorry, can you give me 1 second, Declan? I just actually need to find the button on my computer that turns on the lights on the keys. I can't see them anymore.
It looks a little dark over there.
It got dark, didn't it? Yeah. What happened? Okay, there we go. I had to turn my phone light on so I could see where the keyboard lights. Okay, so now my keys are all lit up and I can see stuff. This is great.
Cool.
Sorry, please carry on.
So we have two parameters. This happiness, which is an I32, and fighting power, which is an I32.
Okay.
And this returns an I32.
All right.
All right, and then let's just paste what you have and get rid of the beginning part of the line, and also get rid of the semicolon.
Cool. And I guess this is something that I found weird, but this is like the thing in Rust where if it's like the last line in a function, then it's like an implicit return if you don't have a semicolon.
Yeah, and if you have only one-line functions, even if they don't do anything, like the tests, they don't have semicolons on the single-line ones because they just return like a unit type, which is just like void. So that's kind of weird. I don't like doing that. I always use semicolons unless I have to, but yeah. All right, let's use this new method.
All right. So basically I can remove this guy and then call this providing power, and it takes happiness and fighting power. Right. Run the test.
Run the test.
Run the tests. That's how we know things still work. Yep, cool. They're good.
Looks like it does work.
Okay.
Well, we have this. It's a bit of a long line, but you know it's okay. It's a simple addition.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll let it ride for now.
Yeah.
Do you want to switch?
Yeah. Let's switch.
Cool. All right. So you're typing. What do you think about like line 80 to 83? I feel like that's our rogue section of this function now.
That's the last part, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So let's see. Calculate. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the calculation itself, it's nonsensical, which makes this kind of hard. But I mean, I guess what it actually does is we don't really care. We just care. This is just gonna take your gear score, do this isolated thing to it or with it, and give you back some number.
Yeah, I think this is probably like a perfect example for an extract function, and the comment on line 79 it gives us the name of it.
Right.
Right. So let's do that. So I guess we'll take all of that code, 80 to 83. Or should we keep it? We'll keep it in the what does it do? It modifies fighting power, doesn't it? Okay, well let's keep the fighting power temporary for now. And we'll just take that part. And let's add what is it? Let's call it get fighting power from gear score.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it looks like
I think it takes fighting power as a
base. Fighting power, yeah. We do.
Oh, but it also uses
and a fighting skill level.
Yeah.
And a gear score. So interesting that fighting skill level wasn't mentioned in the comment.
Can't trust every comment.
Yeah, I think we'll also probably want that mutable variable from line 86, a copy of it. But if we copy that line, and because it's incrementing it, so it needs something to increment.
Right.
Cool. All right. And so it looks unhappy right now.
I think we had, well, we unintroduced
Oh, I see. We
that.
we
I
cut it out
deleted
of
it
there.
instead
Yeah,
of copying it. Yeah.
no worries. Okay, yeah. So let's call that function and pass it in fighting power, gear score, and fighting skill level.
Hold on, but where did fighting power originally come from? Oh, I guess it doesn't originally come from anywhere. We can it's actually not a parameter. That was a mistake.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I see.
So just gear
Gear
score and fighting skill level.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's run the test because this has been quite a lot of change. Longer than we like to go between running the tests. Cool, they're all green. So everything looks good. Let's on line 69, let's just fix that name as well and call it get fighting power from gear score and skill level. Since that's what it does. And let's update the usage. Cool. Sanity check of running the tests. All looks good. Cool. All right, let's swap.
All right. Let's see what now. I'm guessing now we continue the trend and let's inline line 88.
Seems reasonable. Okay. So I'll just remove this fighting power thingamajig, grab this guy. And then we'll replace fighting power with that function call.
All right. And now something else.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to move us on. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to ask, is it idiomatic Rust to kind of drop lines for formatting here, or are we cool with this?
Well, yeah, that's actually what I was going to move on to. I can show you. I'll show you the Rust tool trick. So go to your terminal.
Before you do, Declan,
yes.
I've noticed that we're not compiling right now.
Oh, are we not?
Because we use fighting power. We use the value of fighting power to pass in to get true happiness from fighting power.
Oh, that's a good catch. Oh, so I guess we have to undo that inline then.
Yeah. Okay, so we can't just straight inline it.
We can remove line 89.
Yeah.
And yeah. And now let's see if we hit tests. Cool.
Yeah, we'll test pass.
All right. Do we want to move on to some formatting? Yeah. So do you have a terminal that we can type into here? One of these shared terminals, or?
I think so. Yeah. Let me check in the live share window. It had something about. Well, here we go. Here's some read-only terminals. Okay. Can I?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Right.
I think I don't know if you can type in that one because it's a test terminal.
Oh, right. Okay, let's get rid of that.
So I think if you just do a PowerShell terminal on the left side.
So I just did a add shared terminal read write.
Oh, hey, look at that! So, cool.
Yeah.
Just try doing a cargo. Oh.
Cargo.
FMT.
FMT. Oh, wow.
We're formatted. So this thing, that's a Rustations tool. You just kind of run it, and it puts everything into total idiomatic formatting, which sometimes is a little weird, but like I've gotten used to it.
But it looks quite nice.
Yeah. But cool.
I'll run the test just as a sanity check. Formatting shouldn't change anything. No, we're all good.
All right. So, and now that I'm saying we should reintroduce that new line on 95.5. I think. And then let's what do we think now? So we kind of I think we should rename calculation now.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. It's time to take a stab at it, right? Like we can see more what's going on here now.
Yeah. So this is basically saying like if you have no gear and you have no skill, you have no whatever, power level, apparently total power level. If your happiness is negative, you get a max power level. So yeah, I think based on the comment, we know the comment to be pretty truthful. We can basically just say like calculate total power level using. So that's the other thing. Do we want to mention all these things in the true name that are part of the parameters? Do we still have to do another refactor to make the parameters? I guess we can't because it's part of the public.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, because we have these. It's still kind of long, right? Like it's still I guess, and I know we formatted it weirdly, so it's not actually that long, but there's still a fair amount of code in here. And it seems like it's broken down into like, there's the like early out, and then there's the, the special case of negative happiness, and then we do our calculate fighting power. So like, I almost feel like lines 94 to the end are the real get fighting power.
Right. And then 86 to 92 are more just like checks, pre-assertions. Because they're not calculating anything. You're right about that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, could we maybe split this? I mean, keep the base calculation function, but then have two functions inside of here. Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we could turn this into like a series of function calls. So I mean, I guess we could extract on this thing, right?
I'm also wondering.
Sorry.
I'm seeing now. I don't know. I'm seeing a more rusty way to do it potentially if we want to try that.
Yeah, I'm open to giving it a try.
All right. So let's do. Well, we'll just add it on to the end of this whole method before we like remove everything. So let's just do 102.5.
Okay.
And we are gonna. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. This is actually not going to work.
Okay.
It's just
No
I
worries.
had to think about it for a second. But yeah, I was thinking maybe like a match game. But yeah, I think we should think about breaking this into two.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So extract on this guy.
Yeah, let's extract this.
Okay. So it's basically that thing. I wonder if there are any like refactorings available. Let's try and extract. I guess there aren't any. Maybe there's an extension we could install.
Yeah.
We'll do it by hand.
It looks
Okay.
like, yeah, so it's basically going to be the same signature as calculation itself.
Okay. What should I call it?
Except maybe let's just call it applesauce. But
I
this
like it.
time we don't have to return an option because we know now that if we use this, you're going to get a power.
Nice.
So that is a good side effect of this, actually.
Okay. So I've got an incorrectly spelled applesauce that returns an
Applesauce.
I32. Apple's yeah.
Let's paste what we have in there.
Don't you just love apple's goose?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Okay.
And this, I guess, is
remove the sum. Yeah.
right? Yeah, because it is just a thing now.
That's good because that was pretty ugly to be looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking nicer.
Okay. And now we're gonna use applesauce
Apple's goose.
on the other place. We're just
We'll
gonna
just return
put it at
right?
the end. Yeah. Yeah. Just right there.
Oh,
No
I don't even have to write return, right?
Yeah.
Just apple's goose and pass what it needs, which is gears.
Fighting skill level and happiness.
Okay.
All right, let's run the tests.
It's not super happy. Oh, would I need to put some around it?
Oh yes, we'd still need that. Yeah. Okay. Now let's run the tests.
They all pass.
Excellent. And now I guess we can rename Apple sauce. Yeah. We know that it is just calculate total power level.
Yeah.
From character stats, maybe. I don't even know if we can. Level from stats. Can we say from stats? I think that's fair.
Oh, we say stats.
Cool. And now run the tests. there is a way to set up hotkeys and things, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I like clicking the button. It's fun.
Yeah, I would much rather be able to like just run the test with a key, honestly, but I couldn't figure out how to do it in VS Code. So I just been
Yeah.
clicking. It like magically brings up this little button, so I'm like, sure, I'll press it.
Right. We
Cool.
all passed. Cool. So that's some progress. Do we want to break anything else? Or well, now we still need a true name for this thing.
Yeah.
So I guess now what it's doing is
Well, it's not even a complete name yet, right? We're talking about calculation.
Yes, talking about
Yeah.
calculation.
Yeah. So we should probably call it applesauce to start with.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, I'll do that. Okay, applesauce this time. Enough of the applesauce.
Yeah. And what about? I guess I renamed it in.
Oh wait,
Or
actually,
did you do a? Yeah,
I
do
actually did not do it
alternative.
properly. Let me do it properly.
At least
Okay.
we get this refactoring.
Rename with a tool, run tests. All good.
Okay. So there's still like a crossroads in this function because it's just both ends of the spectrum. It's either like none, you have absolutely no power, or you have the maximum. And that max
Yeah.
power level, there's a sum hidden in there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I mean, I like you did the power level for maximum. Could we do the what would it be? Invalid power level, no power level? On line 97, like we have a constant there that
oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I
like
think that's not a bad idea.
could like incrementally move us towards an understanding.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's do that.
All right, cool.
Let's just go introduce another const that's just a const none, basically. It's going to be like an empty power. And for this, I mean, what I would honestly do would be like introduce my own enum, like where none would just be empty power, and then some would be like, some
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Rust.
Yeah. Help me out with the syntax on this thing. I guess it would be an option.
It's just so option I32 is the type, and then we want to set it equal to none.
Right, rather than the sum. Oh, and the big N. Ah, come on, Henry. Okay.
And then rename it to
right.
empty power level.
Yeah, it's not even a minimum one, right? It's like invalid. Do you like empty?
Yeah, I think empty is good.
Cool. All right, we'll keep empty. Okay. What next? Replace this guy.
Use that on 98. Yep.
All right. Cool. Okay.
Well,
personally, I don't feel super confident about empty, but I don't know what a better one is yet. Maybe we can think of something later.
Yeah, I mean, invalid could be good, but same
Yeah,
deal.
I hate invalid as well, because it's like, what is valid then, and what's invalid? They're really hard to name, these kind of ones. But maybe we'd have to see where it's used.
Yeah, is there anything in main that gives an indication of like what?
That is a great question, actually.
I guess it just expects. So it's not empty. It straight up is. It'll crash the game. So the game will crash. Fighter Dude 2 crashes if you have negative gear score or fighting skill level.
And presumably by design, right?
Right. So maybe it
could
is
it crash?
invalid.
Yeah, could it crash inside of that function and never return anything? Not that I love crashing as a design feature, but
we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, we could remove the. So that's the only place that it would ever return none, thus crash. So I mean, we could change the signature.
Yeah.
Change the return type to just an I32, and then panic.
Yeah.
In there.
I mean, it's kind of like a philosophical issue as well, right? Because if we were looking at this in real life, we would probably be thinking, well, actually, now that we've discovered that it would just crash if this thing, was an invalid power level, we probably don't want that to happen, right? No players like their game to just crash. But in the context of this refactoring, we're just trying to restructure the code without changing any observable behavior. So the
Yep.
question is kind of like, I think this is actually, it's kind of an interesting one because I don't know about you, but like I've gotten hung up on this before in the past, right? Where, and I see this with other people as well, where they're like, oh, I was digging into this code and I was trying to like change it, and I just noticed this thing I could fix, and it's so tempting to do,
Yeah.
but it's inevitably a can of worms, and I wonder if that's kind of like gives refactoring a bad name in a sense, right? Because we kind of can't contain ourselves when we see an opportunity to improve something, but then by trying to improve it, we're now completely off script, right? Like our tests are no longer helping us. We're writing new functionality. And then maybe it's much more likely then something will go wrong, and then we'll maybe say, oh, I had a bad experience with refactoring because I tried to fix this thing. It's like, well, hold on, we actually went off script the moment we did that.
Right, right. I mean, you're gonna have a bad time refactoring it, and if you're not really refactoring, like I think people do things and changes that are not exactly refactoring. It's only that if it's like the mechanical changes that like preserve your behavior. If you're just
Yeah,
changing behavior in one fell swoop, that's not a refactor. That's a big program change. So it's
right,
gonna
for
lead
sure.
to
And he calls
frustration.
it restructuring, right, in the book, like to distinguish from
Right.
refactoring. Yeah,
Yeah, that was something I
I've
did
called it
not.
rewriting it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I when I started reading, I did not really know the difference, but yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, totally. I think it's an interesting lens to look at it through, isn't it? So we've been doing this for about an hour now. So I wonder if it might be time to put it on hold. But maybe we could just do like a real quick 1 or 2 minute retrospective.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I don't think we'll do any like formal process to it, but yeah, how do you think it went? What have we improved? What did we struggle with?
Well, pros. I mean, right off the bat, I'm glad we finally get to use this live share thing. I know we've tried it two or
Mm,
three times in the past. Maybe it's just because it's like the two of us on a holiday week where bandwidth use is low and we're kind of
yeah.
like able to do it. But normally this would never work for us.
Right, and yeah, it's a tiny project as well. I was thinking the same thing in terms of the ability to actually run the tests all the time. Like that enabled a tight loop, and enabled this refactoring. But in our production environment, as you know, I guess our viewers may not know, but in our production environment, it's actually not that quick. It takes us several minutes to even compile, and then running the tests. It depends on if they're unit tests, I guess, like this, it would not be so long. But yeah, this is a remarkably fast loop for us.
Yeah, it felt pretty good, honestly. It's a nice. I say this every time we work in a faster environment. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
every time the end of a rotation comes around and I'm like, oh, I gotta get ready for a handoff, a pair programming handoff. And it's like, no, I don't actually have to do anything when we're just using
Yeah,
live share. I mean, we should
yeah,
be committing, but we
for
cheated a
sure.
little.
We cheated a little bit, yeah. Um, I mean, I guess another thing that occurs to me is I don't know any Rust. Like I tried some of the December of Code, Advent of Code puzzles in Rust just to kind of have a little play with it. But I don't really know Rust, and I was still able to be productive in as part of this pair because you know Rust, which is actually a really cool thing about pairing and mobbing.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you were able to like learn some stuff through. You asked
I
some
also
questions and
learned
all
some
that.
stuff. Yeah,
So
yeah. Like I'm starting to get more familiarity with how you declare types and things. Um, so yeah, I didn't come into it completely new, but I came into it very, very new. So yeah, it was notable for me that I got that knowledge transfer from you just by working on this together. What else?
do we have any? Did we have any dislikes? I feel like we made the same mistake where we tried when we first tried this Kata a couple weeks ago, where we tried to do a refactoring. I mean, I don't even want to call it a mistake because I guess that's part of it.
Mhm.
Is you try a refactoring and then you don't like it, you go back. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I guess that I feel like that running the tests frequently really helped with that, right? Because we made that misstep. Well, I guess it was a compilation error, but getting us being in the habit of like making a few lines, like a one-line code change, and then recompiling, rerunning the tests, saved us from going down any big rabbit holes, right? Like we immediately knew, oh, we've taken a wrong turn, and we just undo, and then we're good to go. So I thought that was actually a pretty good result.
Yeah. And also, I like how we started out by fixing that test, and we did the fund coverage thing.
Right, yeah, we
So
remembered
yeah,
the poor man's coverage, of the poor person's coverage. But
yeah.
maybe I'll just completely skip that analogy. I don't think that really is a good. That's too old school. Um, anyway, yeah, the the improvised
The
coverage
budget
tool, shall we
budget
say?
coverage
The
tool.
budget coverage tool. Yeah, Declan's budget coverage tool, TM.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But it,
Um,
it's good. Yep.
yeah, totally. So yeah, I think like doing that. I initially felt really wary about changing stuff because I was like, oh, I don't know what these tests cover. Um, and yeah, I think that is actually a really useful technique, especially like in our code base. It's really tough to get coverage up and running. I know you've spent a lot of time trying it on our C++ code base, which is kind of large and fit together in weird ways. Um, and having something to fall back on rather than just saying, "Oh, well, I guess I can't get coverage," is much better. I actually learned I learned this from Llewellyn Falco. I did a training that he ran, and this was like he's like, let's start out by measuring coverage this way, and then quickly went to using a tool, right? But I really that was a super useful takeaway from that session, actually. Even though you would think it wouldn't be, that like everyone would have like modern code coverage tools, but yeah, especially in our industry, we don't have them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's good that you bring that up because now, from this session, now I know. I'm going to look into what is the cargo coverage tool. I really bet it's just something like cargo coverage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it'd be nice to know because I don't even know how you do coverage in Rust.
Yeah, but yeah, and I think overall, like, I feel like if we're looking at, I don't know, I feel like people might look at this and say, wow, these guys just like they didn't really do anything. They just spent a whole ton of time, messing around with code and nothing has changed. And I think, I don't know about you, but I feel good about that. And I know we haven't finished our rename because we kind of ran out of time, but I feel good that we were on a path to finding an actual name that was true for this calculate method, and that it wasn't like, 30 lines of like crazy stuff, and we were like, I have no idea what that is, right? Like I feel like we're moving more towards I could come and look at this code and have some idea, like this function, for example, calculate total power level from stats. I now could have a pretty good idea, I think, of what it does.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a good exercise in like code understanding and refactoring for that understanding. Because I wrote this kata total nonsense, and now I'm seeing a meaning come out of it, which wasn't supposed to happen. But it has a meaning now. Like there's these things actually make sense. The gear score and fighting skill level, that gives you an invalid thing if it's negative. Happiness makes you evil. So there's like logic that has been pulled out of this nonsensical program. We probably wouldn't have got there without just
Yeah.
some refactoring. So
And I know we talked about it at the time, but like I feel like there was like almost some like trauma or grief around like letting go of those comments. Like I think so often we almost like look at comments and we're like get attached to them. We're like, oh wow, this comment, someone wrote this comment. Like I can't delete this other person's comment. But it's like if we can use a technique like refactoring to capture the meaning that was intended to be there, and he talks about it constantly throughout the book, right? About like often when you need to rename something, there'll be a comment right there that will tell you what to rename it to. And there's obviously you made this counter, but this is we see this a lot, I think.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And ever since I started thinking about that, I find myself writing far less comments in my code base. I just try to put them into the code wherever possible. It's been helpful.
Yeah,
But yeah,
nice. Cool. All right, well, let's leave it there then. Well, thanks, Declan, so much for spending the time to do this pair programming kata with me, and thanks for putting the kata together in the first place and your awesome Rust knowledge. I hope that at least one person watches this and finds it useful, and if so, let us know and maybe we'll do it again. Bye.
Bye.
And I'm going to stop the recording.